We have a tradition as we wrap up every week here on the show, and this is courtesy of our friends at the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. A chance for you to send us your hottest takes. These are all real emails to talk@ryanjesperson.com. We want you to bring the heat. It's the Flamethrower, presented by the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. This from Daintre, who writes in to say Pierre Poilievre's refusal to obtain a security clearance as leader of the opposition is an alarming display of arrogance and irresponsibility for somebody who constantly criticizes the government, aspires to be prime minister. Poilievre's reluctance to engage with sensitive national security matters raises serious concerns about his fitness for leadership. This isn't about politics. It's kind of what Harman just said. It's about safeguarding Canada's interests. By refusing to equip himself with the necessary info, he's willingly and willfully choosing ignorance at a time when foreign interference and cybersecurity threats are at an all-time high. How can Canadians trust a leader who refuses to be fully informed? That from Daintre. How about this one from Garth, who says, hello, my communist talk show host friend. All right, Garth. What an absolute disaster we're watching unfold, he says, sitting poolside while our prime minister flails around, grasping at his soggy, eco-friendly straws. Justin Trudeau, the guy who claims to know all about the Conservatives' alleged connections to foreign governments, somehow missed the memo on his own party members doing the same thing. And what did he do? Absolutely nothing. Let him run on like business as usual. This is the same guy who openly admitted he doesn't read briefings, but suddenly he's a master of intel when it comes to Conservatives. How convenient. Does he expect us to believe that the last 2 years of evasion, distraction, and political theater were all just a heroic effort to save the Conservatives? Give me a break. Garth says, I've long disagreed with Trudeau's policies, but at least I had some respect for the fact that he stood up to lead. Leadership's tough, but a leader who's deceitful, neglecting his duties, I have zero respect for that. And while we're at it, how would Trudeau feel if another country started backing Quebec separatists? There it is. In this country, if you protest Canadian issues, you'd be trampled and have your assets frozen. But if you stand up and protest against changes to another country's borders, that's somehow okay. Don't go filling Monday's slot yet, Jespo. You might need to throw a bone to a friend soon to return from their short stint in the PMO. I think that's a reference to Supriya Dwivedi. Garth says, one love as always. Thanks, buddy. How about this one from Rod, who says, Jespo, regarding Danielle Smith's presser about the Alberta government's $7 million taxpayer-funded promo campaign for the fossil fuel industry, stop the federal emissions cap, $7 million of our dollars to subsidize the promotion of fossil fuels in Alberta. For what? What about the homeless individuals in this province? What about paying for a portion of our municipal tax increases? What about all the fees that are owed to Edmonton and other municipalities? What about reactivating provincial programs to help homeowners reduce their emissions? What about the uptake of EVs in Alberta? Come on, with the UCP government plans for infinite growth of oil and gas without strong legislative limiting production, let alone emissions, Alberta will never meet Paris targets. Rod, I don't think they care about that. He says we should be asking for production caps to discourage the creation of stranded assets as the world is now moving swiftly toward a fossil-free future. And hey, did you catch Emil and Ken, the two retired foresters that were on the show, the loggers that were critical? They called the Jasper fire 7 years ago, and they're taking aim at the politicians, Parks Canada, who they said did nothing. Well, Bob Covey, who works at the Jasper Local, they do an amazing job with local news coverage in Jasper, wrote in, and he wrote us a flamethrower. He's a Jasper-based journalist and columnist, and he had some thoughts after that Wednesday interview. He spent the better part of 20 years in Jasper covering Jasper's relationship with wildfire, and so he's taking issue with how national park officials and local authorities have been blamed for not doing enough to stop the disaster, and he says he's got no time for people trying to make political hay off the crisis in the community. Well, here's the deal. Bob, I'm not reading your email. I'm not going to read it. And people will say, why in the hell wouldn't you read it, Jasper? Well, that's because I insist that Bob joins us on the show and says it himself, so don't miss Thursday, October 24th, when Bob Covey from the Jasper Local joins us. You can fire up your flamethrower anytime to talk@ryanjesperson.com. Proudly presented by the DQs in Palisades, Namao, Newcastle, Westmount, and Baseline Road. Try the flamethrower when you tell them Real Talk sent you. Thanks for making time for us this week, Real Talkers. We appreciate it. We're going to take a look at an interview live from Lebanon on Monday. We're also going to find out why a guy in BC built a black bear gate into his fence. We're going to talk to Michael Corrin about his new book, a minister, a broadcaster, fascinating insights on faith. We're going to check in with the Calgary Arena debate, a great feature from Alberta Views, and of course, as mentioned, Bob Covey from the Jasper Local. Have a great weekend. Thanks for subscribing to Real Talk on podcasts and on YouTube, and we'll talk to you again soon. One love.